O most righteous and heavenly Father, as we come together this morning, let us come to give you thanks and praise for sparing our lives to see another day. I ask for your blessings upon us. I ask your blessings upon this meeting. Let us discuss the way forward, Almighty God, to lead this country. Father, give us the strength, the wisdom, the knowledge, and understanding. So at the end of this meeting, it will be said, it was good to be here. Have mercy on us, Lord. Guide those who are coming or on their way. Give them journeying mercies. These and other mercies we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, member. Members, let me welcome each and every one. It's a good turnout for the first meeting of the calendar year. Let me wish each member a happy and productive and blessed new year, and hope that we can get through quite a bit of our schedule left for this financial year. As members would know, that we expect that there is going to be another supplementary budget, and which will have to come to the committee itself. And generally, when it comes down to the budget period, the committee, it is not usual for the committee to meet during that period. So a short period of time between now and then. As members have indicated in our email thread, that they would like to go through the scheduling of for the rest of the year, or moving forward over the next couple of weeks. So we can enter upon that reference before we invite the ministry and agency and departments. But I am hoping that we can have a productive period, because as we have been accused, our committees have been accused of not meeting adequately enough and not doing adequate work. And that I don't want that to be said about the PAAC, as it is only 2 committees that are chaired by opposition members, and the PAC is one such. All right, so a happy new year, members, and a productive one. Move to item 4, apologies for absence. We have an apology from member Henriquez. Is there any other? None? Members, we have a report, a draft report that has been sent. I hope that members went through not only the draft report but also the minutes. But let us go through the minutes first. Can we take the minutes as being read? Yes? Any changes to the minutes? Any suggestions of any typos, anything at all? No? Can we confirm the minutes? Yeah. Seconded. Thank you. Members, the draft report. Have members gone through? This is the draft report. This is the draft report of meeting. This was the coronavirus, Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. Can we, any amendments to this report? Members, remember this is a report that will be tabled in the House. Or is it that members need more time to go through the report? Yeah? Yes, and it was emailed out to us also. Yeah. Have the majority of members read the report? Yes? Yeah, I mean, I went through it and it is straightforward from the last meeting. Can we take the, sorry? Yeah. So we can confirm, Member Hamilton. Thank you, Member. All right, so, no, the clerk will have, this is a draft of it, so she'll have the final report to us and have that. All right, any matters arising from the minutes? Well, we also, sorry, 1 second. There were some questions that were asked from that last meeting of the Ministry of Education. The clerk will circulate those. I know they were emailed, but there were some responses coming out of that meeting that was given to us. Anyone has any questions or any matters arising from the minutes or from the responses? But one issue is that we would have seen that there has been an additional, as the Minister announced yesterday in Parliament, an additional extension to the own your own devices. Even though at 49%, I don't know if other members still having the challenge of uploading, because I mean, for my own constituency, we still have not been able to upload no more than 20% of the, so that in itself is still an issue. And so I guess there is that extension to, well, the extension ended and the Minister gave an additional extension. No, it was reopened because it ended on the first extension was the end of December and was reopened on the 8th. On the 18th, right, on the 18th, not the 8th, right, reopened on the 18th. Microphone, please.
Mr. Chairman, I found that it is very tedious for some reason or another. Plus, many of our constituents are not as formal as they are supposed to be with documentation to be in place. And so, for me, out of 250, I only got through 81. So, and it is needed, and so it is my view, my opinion, that rather than giving a cutoff date, was just to leave it open and just keep uploading as best as possible until those
until it's completed, because you can't print the forms.
You cannot print the forms, and you have 250. So as soon as the last representative gets to 250, then you can close it.
And the issue, yes, ma'am.
The Minister was asked if there's a deadline, and she did indicate that there is no deadline per se with regards to the third opening. The objective is to reach the target. So, with that said, I welcome that response from the minister and hope. It's very challenging in my constituency, as is in many. But with the deadline, it had put additional pressure and stress on members of the constituent who got frustrated when they couldn't get the SRN and the TRN. Many persons don't have a TRN, and to obtain those data. So I welcome the minister's review of this, and will make every effort to get the 250.
Well, in my issue, I've had volunteers assisting the parents to fill it out, to just make sure that we have the data properly. But then when uploading, it's still rejecting the TRN and still rejecting the student's registration number, which we would have called some of the schools ourselves and gotten the student's registration number on behalf of that particular student. So there's still something not, and just having only 40+% uploaded at this point in time. One member said to me that they carried all theirs to the ministry itself. But then now, for me, the cost of me printing them to make sure I have a duplicate copy. And is it that, because if you looked at the original requirements, the ministry said that even though giving them copies, that the final thing is for you to upload it.
So through the chair, I've actually spoken to the minister because I'm experiencing exactly the problem you're having. So we have actually had work days where we ask persons who need to have the forms filled out and need assistance to come in. Yeah. And we have had volunteers sit down. And when you put in one student, it bounces. Anyways, you're off to be able to put in a second student. Yeah. And it takes a while to get back onto the system. And by the time you put in somebody else, you're gone again. Yeah. We have even gone to the schools to sit down to see if we can process from the school. So we have gone to like Mona Primary to see if we can sit there at school and work with them from school. Nothing seems to be working. So having called the minister and asked the minister if we can submit those hard copies, we were informed if the copies are not updated on the system, it is of no use, which means it really doesn't make sense that we had those paper copies, because we are still responsible for the complete upload for all the students. So I think we will make another recommendation to the minister. I couldn't agree with Heroy Clark more. Yeah. If we each have 250, and that's our quota, we keep going. The more persons are able to complete their designated numbers, it means less people should hopefully be trying to access the system, and therefore more of us will be able to get additional students registered. Right. So it's a problem for all of us.
Members, since this is a draft, Member Holness, so what we would do, since we have the draft report here, is make that as a recommendation in the final report. But also, in response to question 4, where we had asked about the 1.23 billion that was provided in the second supplementary budget. This is not really for the report itself, but the answer was yes, where we had asked if it was really the sole supplier, that sole sourcing of the 15,000 laptops. And we were also told in the meeting that the laptops should have been delivered at the end of December. So, Madam Clerk, it's just to find out from the ministry if they had gotten delivery of these, because we had some concerns about the sole sourcing of 15,000 laptops with one, knowing the demand and the supply worldwide. So it's just to find out from a follow-up question if these laptops have been delivered. All right. Any other matters arising from the minutes? No? You want to then go to the matter of, because we had looked at the issue of scheduling, and there are some members who made a suggestion that we sign off on a schedule at the meeting instead of doing it through the regular emails. And a suggestion was made by our consultant. There are some amendments that were asked to be made, and a amended schedule was sent out to us where members suggested that we deal with the scheduling here at the meeting. So are there any suggestions from members on the scheduling? You said you wanted to discuss the scheduling.
We need to look at how we schedule the technocrats coming here. One of the things that I've found in the past is that for many times that we may take 2 ministries, sometimes 3 ministry or agency, and you find that we don't get through because of the number of questions and the time that it takes to get the response. We don't get through all of them in one day, but they lose a day from the work. So what we can look at is maybe, depending on the magnitude of what we want to query and question, that we take 1 per meeting, and at a tightrope, we look at 2. So that is where the schedule is concerned. Also, Mr. Chairman, is that we have to understand, or we must be reminded of the fact that quite a number of persons here, members here on this committee are really out-of-towners. And it takes a toll on us because we do have to have constituency days just the same. So if we can look at how we schedule the meetings, like exactly, a break in between the meetings. So Madam Honest is suggesting a 3rd week break, but something that will give us a little leeway. And also to give other committees a day where they can meet.
Chairman.
Yes.
One, all of us have to be cognizant of the fact that we are elected members of Parliament. Our responsibilities are primarily of a parliamentary nature. Parliament serves as an oversight chamber and a legislative chamber. That's what we are primarily elected to do. The truth be told, members on both sides of the aisle have given secondary consideration to their parliamentary responsibility and more local. We all have councillors in our council, and we have local government, which have certain responsibilities. So there's a backdrop. The PAAC is the only standing committee of Parliament that has continuous responsibility to the Parliament throughout the year. All other standing committees of Parliament function on the basis of references made to it.
Correct.
We do have this ongoing week-to-week responsibility, in addition to references that are made to us, such as supplementary budgets and other such matters that might be referred to us from the House that by law we have a duty to give priority to. But outside of those references, the Appropriations Committee was set up deliberately to oversee the appropriations and the performance of ministries and agencies on an ongoing basis. Not when we feel like or when it's convenient to us. We must make ourselves available to fulfill that parliamentary role. The PAC operates primarily on references from the AG's, the Auditor General's Department, and again, other things that might be referred to us from the full house, which is the next most frequently held. And the other committees are as the members see fit from time to time. There are some committees might only meet for 1 year, for once in a year, because it doesn't have anything that is referred to it. So let us be careful how we contemplate scaling down the activities of the PAAC. It would be a dereliction of our duty, each of us as members of parliament, in fulfilling the statutory provisions.
Yeah. Member Holness.
Now, my experience in the last dispensation as it related to coming to a lot of our PAAC meeting, and I'll go to the schedule when I'm finished in terms of reference. This schedule, as it started, is actually better than some I saw in the last sitting, in that for the most part, I'm seeing weeks of meeting that has either one ministry, agency, or department, as in the case of local government, where we are looking at 3 parish councils. But if you look at weeks 5 and 6 suggestion, when you look at the climate change impact, and you are mixing ministries like Ministry of Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment and Climate Change, along with Ministry of Energy, Science and Technology, what ends up happening, and I saw it happening with some of our technocrats last sitting, we would sometimes have the persons come here from, say, NAA or other ministries or agencies, and they would sit here for the entire duration of the day. Then we would send them back, and they would be back next week. And I actually saw a case where we sent them back 3 times. When government is expected to operate efficiently, and we have persons coming here and we're not able to get through the subject matter, it becomes inefficient in them delivering a service to the citizens of the country. So I would want us to pay keen attention to how much we can achieve in a sitting, because we would want to make sure that we can interrogate properly and thoroughly the agencies or ministries that present themselves before the PAAC. I find sometimes we end up just rushing because we realize that it is unreasonable what we are doing, and we just can't get through it. And as such, the best place for us to do it is in our scheduling. If we find that we're getting through it, we can beef up, and if we find we're not getting through the sessions, we scale down. It is not practical for us to keep saying they're not ready, cancel, or tell them, come back next week, come back next week, come back next week. I've gone outside and seen persons, technocrats from agencies and ministries looking visibly upset by how much time we call them down here. If we could find a mechanism as well, if we're going to have 2 ministries, and we agree, yes, it makes sense, or 2 agencies, and they're not necessarily required to present together. If we can say to one, you come down at 10 o'clock, and the other, you come down at 11 or 12 o'clock, because that gives them some time that they can keep working in the interest of the people until we get them here.
All right.
Lastly, I was quite comfortable as a member last sitting, and as a committee, we made the decision that we would omit every 3rd Wednesday, and I'm putting the recommendation forward because we need to ensure that we are also preparing adequately for the sessions. On both sides of the aisle, you would have persons come here and they are not necessarily properly prepared and asking questions that are not necessary. And Member Jackson, I would tell you, you don't fall under it. So, I don't. No. All right, you ask some reasonable question and give trouble a lot, but I am not, I'm not pointing. Oh, all right, let me scratch the last part of it. But I would say that I firmly believe we need proper time to prepare, because what happens to us, yesterday, last night in Parliament, I got a document for this morning, and I know now this is finished, this is the one for today. And we have experienced it. We have found ourselves in Parliament many Tuesdays getting a document for Wednesday morning. We need to, yeah, it happens to us all the time. So I am putting the recommendation forward to the committee that we do a break on the third Wednesday, as we had it before, and that we sort of monitor how many departments and agencies we see at the same time. I'm trying to see if I can appreciate the sessions that we have in third week, fourth week, continued, and a repetition of fourth week that goes with the AG and Office of the Auditor General's Department and Office of a Cabinet meeting along with Ministry of Finance, and at the same time trying to complete Economic Recovery Task Force agency and MIIC and Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries. I can't see us getting through all of that material in one session. So I think instead of having a nice schedule that we don't adhere to, it would be good to have a practical schedule, and it takes nothing at all from Member Jackson's statement, because we intend on being absolutely responsible and committed to the task. That's why we are here. And we want to ensure that we also take into consideration that if we keep our civil servants here to the point that we are diminishing their value to the citizens of the country in how much time we have them waste here, it is not practical or fulfilling our duty in the best way possible. So I don't know how. I've always wondered why we couldn't schedule and say, look, you come down 10 o'clock. And then the ministry that comes afterwards,
just on a point of
we
order,
say you come 11 or 12.
And with all due respect, member, and in this instance, I have to defend the clerk here, because when she schedules, that is how she staggers it. Tend to have them come at different times and not everybody coming at the same time. That is what is generally done. Yes. Right? So I have to just correct that one. But before you go...
Point taken.
Yeah,
Chairman, it therefore means we have a serious problem because they're here for hours waiting.
Because we're at 11 o'clock now, although I'll give the other members. But members, in the past, between the consultant and members of the committee and the chairman used to have the flexibility of doing a schedule. Right? We are now at the point where members object when that happens. So we said, we give the consultant some leeway in setting the schedule and then circulating it. In many instances, we don't get any responses. What I would suggest, and in this instance, where we had set somewhat a schedule at the last meeting, over the Christmas period, we were able to get some of these reports. And we got quite a bit of the reports before yesterday. Right? They were all emailed out, responses emailed out. So it shows you the advantage of setting a schedule at least for a 3-week period, having the MDAs sending the reports on hand so you can get it before time and read it. Right? Right? Now, in instances, we have the agent, the ministry, the MDAs not sending it on time. And what generally happens is that the clerk herself usually gives the MDAs 2 weeks to at least respond and appear before the committee. But we have to have some flexibility because, members, this is my 9th year on this committee. And I can tell you that where you set a schedule, every financial year you're not able to see every MDA appear before. Our responsibility is to go through the financials, the spending of the current financial year, and the administration of the ministry departments or agency. Now, members, it is generally a tight schedule. Generally, those of you who have sat on this committee, who is not your first time, can realize that it is a tight schedule. And many a times I am in total agreement because we agreed that we would not bring no more than 2 ministry or departments at any one sitting because of the same experience that member Holness spoke about. Right? So I'm in agreement with that. I've made the suggestion, and I will raise it again with the leader of government business, that all chairmen sit down and look at a scheduling, right? But you have to remember that the workload for the PAC and the PAAC are generally heavy workloads. And the PAAC has a flexibility because you might set a schedule, but there are items that may arise in the public that you may just want to bring ahead and have a sitting on. So we have to have the flexibility, members. But I as I said in my opening remarks, it was said before that the committees do not meet. Even if you leave a third Wednesday, is no guarantee that it will also be used by another committee. But no, and as I said, no, I understand your influence on the process, Madam Wallace. But
as a committee chairman myself, I would use it. So
not a problem.
I know you'll definitely
and I have no problem with that flexibility, right? But as I said, Member Holness, is that our first instance. Let us sit with all the chairmen of the committees and then look at it, because I would hate it as the chairman of this committee, and I am sure the members themselves would not want at the end of the financial year to be told that we have been derelict in our duties as members of the PAAC in dealing with the public's business. Yeah? But that being said, the proposed schedule that we have in front of us. Today we are dealing with week one, which is Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, NEPA, Ministry of Transport and Mining, which the Geology Department, Mining and Geology Department falls under. Yes, member.
Just before you leave the point we were on, are we going to take a vote or a consensus on the break on the third week?
As I suggested before, we suggest that here. I am suggesting that as Member Holness, who is a chairman of a committee also, sit down with the leader of government business, all the chairmen of the committees, and look at how it is that we can space it out. If then that is what is needed, then we will make that suggestion. I have no problem to that.
I know you don't have a problem, Mr. Chairman, but let us be careful. Again, we have members, and from time to time in the past, you have seed meetings. Don't go as scheduled because we don't have a quorum. Let us pay attention to the fact so that we can hold members, because even though my colleague said before that we have a parliamentary duty, yes, we are well aware of that. And part of that parliamentary duty is to represent the constituents and the constituency that you were elected to do so. And so, Mr. Chairman, we have to be mindful. It is very taxing on one individual. For example, there are persons who went home last night after Parliament and are back here this morning, all the way to Westmoreland and St. Elizabeth. You have one member who asked not to be placed on committees after the first couple of meetings because it was very telling on him, because he has to drive home and drive back. All we are simply saying, let us be the committee that set the precedents.
Member.
I crave your indulgence. I start with the last point of my colleague about my colleagues from rural Jamaica. I have full sympathy for that. Our colleagues should never be put in that position. The Parliament should provide accommodation for our colleagues who live in this land. It happens under jurisdiction. It's nothing novel. To ask a member from Westmoreland or St. Elizabeth or St. James to leave here in the evening and travel for 3-4 hours, however long it takes going through traffic, and come back here for a morning the next day. In the government service, if somebody from the ministry have to meet in Westmoreland, they make accommodation down there for them. Why is it that the member of parliament should be exempted?
Because they're looked upon as...
No, but we must fix that problem and don't compromise our representational responsibility because of that failure. Yes, I sympathize with my colleagues who are in that situation. It's unfair to them. Even with a driver, it's tiring to drive that long distance, and the same driver have to drive the next morning to come back. Let us fix that problem, but don't let our representational responsibilities be sacrificed. We've seen what is happening in other jurisdictions. The price of democracy is something that we must be very mindful of. We never know it until we're about to lose it. Well, some almost lose it.
Mr. Chairman.
Member.
Yes. I myself, I'm a chairman of a committee, and I sit on 8 other committees, I think. And I understand the challenges. Yes. Right. So, but I want to.
I'm hearing your member. Go ahead.
I want to agree with your suggestion, Mr. Chair, because I believe that we're not going to be able to solve this problem in terms of the scheduling unless the committee chair meet and look at all the practicality and work out a schedule. So I tend to support your point that we meet as committee chair and look at the schedule going forward.
Definitely.
I want to support that. Yeah.
So the suggestion is, and I'm putting it to the members again, that just let us as chairman just sit with the leader of government business and then just do before we make that suggestion here and not. Because members, it can't be on one side where we complain that we don't have enough meeting time and then now we're coming now to say to give up meeting time to when we are not in a position at this committee to say that you give up every third Thursday that it will be used. And I hear the member Holness that she will use it. But I would prefer a way that's done properly in that we sit as the leader of government business has responsibility. So let us just sit with him, set out a schedule as chairman, and then we come back to the committee and make that suggestion on which days it is that we are giving up from, we are not. So, right, members, believe me, I went through it too. But remember, you get also traveling to come to the committee meetings. So, I know, but I'm just saying, let us...
Chairman, traveling is not the issue at all. I don't even know if I get traveling. It has never been a consideration. I was saying for some committees, like CDF, what ends up happening to us, we come down from 8:30, we have to start sharp at 9 because we can't pass 10, because we have PAC right afterwards, and then from there into Parliament. So I know just trying to make sure we get the meetings in is a challenge.
I know. And as I said, we just meet with the leader, and then we do the House leader, and then we do a schedule, because it is made that instead of a third Thursday, it might be a second or a first or whichever. So let us just meet with him, and then we do the scheduling. Until then, members, can we just at least go through the proposed schedule and make a suggestion, and so that we can at least, because we have to at least notify the MDAs beforehand if they will be coming to the sitting, all right? So we have a proposed schedule in front of us, as it here indicated on week 1, which is where we are at now. Week 2, which will be next week, we will have the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development appearing before the committee, and we are agreeing on that for next week, members? Yes, no problems with that. Can we at least set something for week 3 so that the clerk so that the clerk can at least notify the MDAs that will appear in front of us, and at least reports will come beforehand.
Are the reports ready for week 3?
No, we have not, because we have not been able to. We have not proved a schedule yet, hence why she has not been able to approach the MDAs.
Week 2 is ready?
Yes, we got the report. We got the report for week 2. So week 3 suggestion was MDAs represented on the Economic Recovery Task Force, Ministry of Finance, PIOJ, Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Culture, Gender. I would say that the Economic Task Force, I agree with the Ministry of Finance, PIOJ. Which are the others, Mr.? Because I don't see how Ministry of Culture would fit into this. The Ministry of Agriculture? So, Mr. Chairman, Mike, please.
You. For them in 2 weeks. So we have to move week 3 to 4. Yeah.
Right, so.
You at least need 2 weeks. So this would fall back basically into week 4. Yeah.
Right. So we break week 3.
Yes.
St. James, so it's so anxious for a break.
I'm not quite sure.
Seems like I'm fed up of the work already.
Makes sense based on what is happening.
You'll be surprised to know my colleague. I am not yet even there. I just start.
Is it possible, Chairman, for some agencies, like you mentioned, culture, when we get the reports, we would say to them, look, we don't need to see culture, but still ask them to submit even a summary of what their thought process is in respect of COVID and its recovery and stuff. And then we could still say, you know, you stand on. We don't need to necessarily have your question, but we have the benefit of the information.
The reasoning behind culture, as our advisor just said to me, is the synergy between themselves and tourism, the culture aspect, and dealing with and looking at that area of the effect that the pandemic had on it, why they were suggested for here. So it doesn't, in the instances, again, if there are any questions, because this is part of the challenge too, that members don't really suggest the areas that they want the reports on. So we generally get just an overall summary and not in specific areas. So which can be made. No, you have, but it can be made so that it makes it more direct in the reports that are given. All right. So and the clerk generally sends it out to us sometimes if there are any suggestions, and sometimes we get responses, sometimes not. But what I will say to members is, seeing that we're going to approve what is in week 3 for week 4, that if there are any specific areas in these ministries and agencies that members have questions on, to send it directly to the clerk herself so that she can send it on to the MDAs to put in their reports. So we can sign off on week 3 for week 4. Members? Members? Thank you very much, members. All right. And then when we come to what I would say is that next week when we come to the meeting, can we then probably look at week 5? All right? So. Sorry? No, because, well, we haven't signed up. We are signing off now. Well, week 2. Yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I think we must also be mindful of the fact that there is a
supplementary
referral.
No, I know. Until then, if that is so, then we will have to fit it in. All right? All right, members. So thank you very much. I think that wasn't as contentious as the member from Central St. James would have thought. Thank you. All right. Can you invite in? Members, we have with us the Ministry of Economic Growth, Job Creation. We have members from the Ministry of Transport and Mining, George, which is to review the approved mining license with respect to Dry Harbour, Mountains, and the mining license to deal with the Cockpit country, which is, so let me welcome Madam Permanent Secretary. And I see the Permanent Secretary, that's Mr. Hills? Yes, well, both Permanent Secretaries from Madam Sewell and Mr. Hills from the Ministry of Transport. I want to wish each and every one of you a Happy New Year on behalf of the membership of the committee, and hope that we can get through the deliberations in a timely manner. Madam Pierce, would you like to? So we'll allow you to make opening remarks, and then we'll proceed from there.
Okay, thank you very much, and good morning again, Chairman and members of the committee. I have with me from the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, as well as from the Ministry of Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment and Climate Change, Mr. Yannick Watson, Chief Technical Director from MEGJC, and Ms. Gillian Guthrie, Chief Technical Director from MUREC. And accompanying us are NEPA representatives headed by Mr. Peter Knight, CEO, Mr. Anthony McKenzie, Director, Environmental Management and Conservation, Mr. Richard Nelson, Senior Manager, Environmental Management Subdivision, and Ms. Monique Curtis, Manager, Ecosystems Management Branch. And before we proceed, Chairman, you mentioned that we will be looking at mining license, but our remit is environmental permit, and that is our involvement in this project. Thank you.
Chairman, the granting of approval from NEPA, right? I'm aware from my own personal experiences, it involves consultation and input from various agencies, including mining. So any decision on NEPA's part would take cognizance of those comments or concerns from the related agencies of the state. So I think the mining, the mining aspect of it would have some pertinence to NEPA's role.
If you note, I said our ministry ministries that I just
Well,
introduced.
the ministry said, but NEPA, when NEPA falls under you.
Yes, and what NEPA is responsible for is the environmental permit component. Yeah. We are not involved in the
issuing of the mining license.
The mining,
no,
the mining license.
Yeah. Yes, I'm
because
aware of.
the chairman said specifically that we are to discuss mining license. I just wanted to make it clear to the committee that we are here. We don't.
No, we understand.
We will speak to the environmental permit, and that's the issue at hand.
Madam Pierce, all right, so let us give you an opportunity then to discuss then the issuing of the permit to read which will then go in turn give the go-ahead or some opening towards the issuing now of the mining license. So can you then speak then on the issue of the environmental permit that would have come from NEPA, which falls under your ministry. Or is it?
Okay. Before we proceed, though, I ask permission to make a statement.
Sure.
And I'm speaking on advice that I got legal advice this morning. We are here because we have been invited by this committee, and we know that we ought to be here out of respect and our responsibility to respond to any committee of Parliament. We have been advised that because there may be concern with us making public statements, even to outline the process for the issuing of the environmental permit, because action was filed in the Supreme Court in terms challenging the constitutionality of the process, and the ministry, NEPA as one of the agencies of the ministry, the government has been named jointly. And so, under advice from the Attorney General's chambers, I would want to bring this matter to your attention. Contact has been made by several legal personnel this morning based on what they have read in today's Gleaner, that NEPA is expected to be grilled, is it, on this matter. And we sought, therefore, advice, because from they read the article, they have been calling to caution us, to say that they would not want us to compromise their positions by what they will be presenting before the courts. And so I sought the advice of the chambers. And the advice that I have got is that because the process, whatever is the action that has been brought, involves a review of the process in the courts, I should advise the committee accordingly.
But in this instance, Madam Pierce, a report was given to us by NEPA. And, I mean, we have quite a bit of documentation here which has been sent to us by NEPA. So our questioning could only to be with what has been given to us in the report. And this report, once it has been tabled here, is a public document. So, you know, I have been in committee meetings where issues may be at the courts, but yet still we have been able to proceed with the committee, you know, moving on the report that has been submitted to us by the said agency.
Which was before those, and we're not saying that we should or should not. I was advised to bring the matter to the committee's attention, but those reports, I would say, were submitted prior to the lawsuit being, that the agency and the government were served.
When was it that you were served?
Well, this document is dated December 17. In terms of the date, it went to the office of the CEO on the 21st of 21st of. You can talk if you want. And I've just been advised that one of the advice that has been given to NEPA is that they can answer questions based on what is contained in the report that has been submitted.
because this report was mailed to us on the 29th of December. So it would have been after you would even have been served.
Well, it went to his office on the 21st, but I don't know, Mr.
All right.
It is stamped the 21st. But
I understand the matter. All right, Mr. Sewell, so what we'll do then is really just proceed in a general manner in questions that members will have. If it is that you feel any way that we are crossing the line into certain matters, then just indicate such.
well, I noticed that you have at least one lawyer on the committee.
Yeah, quite a few lawyers.
We may be able to get guidance.
I have quite a few lawyers.
But
Mr. Chair,
Through the chair, could we have a quick counsel with the chairman and the attorneys that we have here present, even if, and just...
And the deputy clerk.
And the deputy
we'll
clerk.
Yeah.
We just have a little, we'll have a quick discussion and
Yeah. So,
through the chair and then get back.
So we'll just go into a 10-minute recess. Yeah, we'll just have a 10-minute recess and then.
Brutality isn't a legality. There's no rationality as to why this abnormality should become a mentality. A mentality which kills and tortures. Are you really telling me you're afraid to speak up because you might be called an informer? Let us break the barrier of brutality and enforce it with alacrity. If you know someone who has been victimized, I charge you to I, interrupt their situations before their O. Oppressor continues to L, lurk in their lives. Let us E, extend our hands to our brothers and sisters who are being victimized, and N, never see violent acts and ignore them. Let us C, come together and be the E, example, so we may end a barrier on brutality.
The new NITS bill has been drafted and is ready for review. We want to hear from you. Go to www.japarliament.gov.jm to download a copy of the new bill. Join the conversation. Make a written submission to Clerk to the Houses, Gordon House, 81 Duke Street, Kingston, or via email clark@japarliament.gov.jm. All written submissions must be sent by Friday, January 29, 2021. Join the process. Let your voice be heard.
Reggae Month 2021 Virtual Launch. Tune in for the details and the entertainment. Agent Sasko, Peter Morgan, Julian Marley, Marcia Griffiths, Shensia, Ding Dong, Inner Circle, and Michael Rose. Right here on this channel.
small businesses like mine continue to serve the needs of people.
We all play a part in keeping the wheels of our economy turning, and we do so responsibly.
We are building forward
together.
Welcome to the dark side. We pass them by, empty bodies filled with pain. Cup running over is the bitter taste of reality. A glimmer of hope left eons ago. To live is to breathe. This person grabs the rope and noose for the person who feels he or she has no use. To come to the dark side is to walk in my shoe. They say I am weird. Do they know I suffer mentally? They see me as an imposter, an aberration, a freak of nature. I regret my birth on this earth. To come to the dark side is to walk in my steps. Feet marred with mud, sweat and blood trimingled. Oh yes, I know those ropes. Do you? Help! Help! No! No! You're hurting me. With all my might I tried. I cried. He never stopped. He pushed harder. No, I must act happy. Friend, family, stranger within my gates betrayed my trust. I am darkness, the destroyer of worlds. It came back positive. And they say everything in life that is positive is worth having. 2 times they were wrong. Abortion seems to be my option. He said he would always protect me. Scars abound where skin smooth as milk once grazed. Eyes black and blue from the love you thought you knew. Callous hands, the culprit. Oops, he comes. I must go. I have to go. You don't live in my shoe. You will never know. A cry for hunger bellows. Baby in pampers, mouths to feed. You are worthless. How can you call yourself a man? Anger ripens in his soul. There is no opportunity, so he acts out. Society is left without 2 promising souls. Blood money. For it, he forever remains thirsty. Welcome to the dark side. Here, monsters abound. You have 1 week to live. The doctor whispers. But why me? How could this? But I live healthily. Life is so unfair. To come to the dark side is to accept we cry alone, aloud in silence. Happiness? A figment of the imagination. Help? Endlessly out of reach. I come to the dark side. I know you are there. This day would always come. What you do next will make the difference. Is anybody out there? Anybody listening? The dark side is real. Be a neighbor. Help a friend. Some are seeking their life to end.
Big up everybody. Want to give a shout out. It's been a rough year for most. I'll say to be safe, be strong, and a Merry Christmas when it comes.
We're in a different race because of this pandemic. The race for our lives and the race to keep safe. We soon race our cars again. Let us continue to keep safe, wash our hands, use sanitizers.
Just want to let everybody know that I am well and I am ready for racing come next year. I'm ready to win. I just want to wish you all a Merry Christmas when it comes. And remember, keep safe, keep calm, protect yourself.
2020 has been a challenging year for the Jamaican people, the Jamaican economy, the Jamaican families. All you have to do is keep your heads up. People, have faith. Take your herbs, come all about the place. Soak in your vitamin D. Wash your hands, keep it clean, wash your face, and wear your mask.
I just want to say a few words. Keep strong, stay safe, wear your mask, and we will have racing again one day. Bless up everybody.
Hi everyone, hope you're all keeping safe and staying strong. Just want to let you know, we will be racing soon again in 2021, for sure. Continue to wear your mask and be safe during the Christmas holidays. Merry Christmas when it comes.
I just want y'all to keep strong, stay safe, wear your mask, and we will race again one day.
2020 has been an unprecedented and difficult year for us all. The JMMC is currently working with the Ministry of Sport, the Ministry of Health, and the Office of the Prime Minister to see a safe resumption of motorsport in 2021. In the meantime, stay safe, observe all the protocols, wear your mask, social distance, and we will race again soon. Merry Christmas, have a Happy New Year when it comes.
Greetings everyone, Nigel Wilmot here from Will Motorsports, saying stay strong, stay safe, and we'll be racing again soon. One day, I hope.
Good morning everyone, even though it's Christmas time, I want to spend time with family and so on. Just remember, COVID is still among us. It's not over yet, so keep your distance and be safe.
Wear your mask, right? Hi guys, we're at the end of 2020. There's been very little racing this year. Everything has been on pause. I just want to take this opportunity to say to you guys, we are working on having racing resuming in 2021, but in the meantime, we want to just encourage y'all to stay safe. Wear your mask, wash your hands, sanitize, and just stay strong, keep the faith.
It's Fraser McConnell here. Doug Gore, Hollywood. Just reminding you guys to keep safe, wear a mask, socially distance yourself from people, and racing is going to be back soon.
Yeah, make sure guys, this is a very, very important. Protocols 100%, and don't worry, you'll soon see Hollywood back on the track.
And Fraz.
Ready, man, Fraz.
Let's go.
On behalf of the GRDC, I would like to wish everyone
Well, with the agency itself seeing that it is sub judice is the correct term, which would probably prejudice the matter. Is there a date for a hearing as yet?
Yes, a date has been set. Sometime in February. I'm sorry, I don't recall the exact date. But I can confirm that a hearing date has been set. Sometime in February, I believe. And that is being handled by the AG's chambers.
Okay. Because we would have basically wanted to go through the process and ask questions on the process itself. Just one issue, has any mining license been issued as yet today?
No quarry license has been issued in respect of this application.
And another question is
the application did go to the commissioner, but they were awaiting the environmental permit, because normally there is a relationship between the Commissioner of Mines and the NEPA, and there's a requirement for the environmental permits to be issued, and before the quarry license is granted. So the quarry license has not been granted. It is still being processed, but it has not been granted, and no recommendation has yet come from the Quarry Advisory Committee. In fact, the Quarry Advisory Committee had not met since July of last year.
And that environmental permit has been issued already. That's the one issued on December 17th. The So are you in receipt then, Mr. Hales, of that? Meaning your agency is in receipt of that environmental permit?
The Commission of Mines would have been in receipt of the environmental permit, yes.
Okay.
But as I said,
no quarry license.
They have not finalized. We were also in the transition period, so the Quarry Advisory Committee was just being reappointed. That appointment process is just about complete, but they have not met yet on this matter.
Mr. Knight, in the conditions, number 3, special monitoring and stakeholders, the $40 million secured guarantee, has that been paid?
Morning, Chairman. Morning, members. The performance bond is not yet paid. Is that your question?
Yes, yeah, that has not.
The permittee has until the 17th of this month to pay the performance bond.
Is there an injunction to stop the process, or what happens now that there is a case brought against NEPA?
No, as PS explained, the matter has been taken to the Supreme Court. So our process, I guess, PS would be to respond to the court.
No, in the sense that there are some, in the permit itself, there are some timelines from the issuance of the permit. So is it that the clock stops or it continues until after the proceedings?
No, Chairman, the permit is valid. So the conditions of the permit, the conditions are active in the sense that if the permittee does not comply with the conditions of the permit, then the permittee would be in breach. So we can't take a priori position after a court matter. We are continuing with the work as if the permit is active, and the permit is active.
So if you don't get that performance bond, that $40 million by the 17th, then what happens?
If the performance bond is not paid on or before the 17th, then the permittee would be in breach. And remember, well, I shouldn't say remember, once you are in breach of a condition of the permit, there are actions that the NRC, the Natural Resources Conservation Authority Act, that allows. The permit can be suspended, it can be revoked, or the permittee can at any time request an extension. That is how the law is. So the permittee can request an extension to pay the performance bond. As to whether that would be favorably considered, that is not my, that would be a decision of the NRCA, the full authority.
Okay. All right. All right. Thanks for the time spent and for answering those few questions. If there's any reason to bring you back, then we will, after the matter has been ventilated in the courts. So thanks for this short meeting, Madam Pierce and members. All right. Yeah, man.
Should we go now, or is it that SML 173 is going to come up now?
Is there any? Yeah, I mean, no, we'll just, no, you can leave. You can leave.
Thank you.
All right, members, it's unfortunate because I wasn't cognizant that there was a court case, and the permanent secretary could have at least said something to us in our correspondence that there is such. So even though we were going to look at the Cockpit country, and I mean that report also, it was quite a bit of documentation that we got last week. So we could have gone through the Cockpit country, but I'm sure members like myself want a little more time to go through that one, because I said it was quite a bit of documentation that came at the same time. So whenever it is that we bring them back, we will deal with that issue. I don't see where there's any court case where that permit is concerned. Our members, there could also be a suggestion. Huh? Well, there could also be a suggestion. Member from Central St. James, can I have your attention, please? A suggestion, seeing that we have week 2, which is next week. If it is that you may want to, in week 3, which would now come week 4, to go through the report, because it is quite a bit of report. And since it has already been given to us, to ask NEPA to come back and the ministry to deal with the Cockpit country and get that one off, since we have nothing scheduled and we have already have the report already. What says the members? Yeah? All right? So, yeah, because what I'm afraid of also is that when we bring them back again and we are going through the dry harbor, it takes up one whole meeting, and then we then not deal with that issue, that report that has been given to us, which we requested. Yeah. So week 3, then since we had a blank week, then we'll ask them to just come and deal with that report by itself. All right. Yeah. NEPA. Yeah. Yeah. Because they would have to be given the quarry license. But I know there is no quarry, I know there isn't any, but generally we ask them to come because they're married, even though they haven't issued. But at what stage are they in issuing? What are they? No. We're dealing with the boundaries. Yeah, but we can decide that, all right, if they come or not. So we agree that we will ask them to come in week 3 to deal with the Cockpit country. Mm-hmm.
Mr. Chairman. Through you, Mr. Chair.
The Ministry of Economic Growth. Right, because the permit is given by NEPA. Yes, member. Still the parent ministry too. Yeah. Yes, member. No, member, you're. Member, we have a member on the floor now. Go ahead. We are hearing your member.
I just wondered whether it would be prudent to call them back so quickly.
To call back?
The same agency so quickly.
No, well, it's not next week, it's the following week. You already have the report. So normally, because we give them 2 weeks to prepare a report, we already have the report. So it is for them to, so we will have the deliberations on the report that has been tabled. Yeah? So next week we will have the Ministry of Local Government, and then the following week we'll have them come back to address the report that have been given to us over a week ago. All right? That's a suggestion. So if members have any other suggestion, I'm open to it. Yeah, so we agree, members? the ministry. Yeah. Not necessarily, no. Yeah. All right. You said you want to go through to another. All right. So we're settled then for the next 3 weeks. Members? All right. All right. Any other business? There are no other business. So the date for the next meeting will be, what's the date? Next week, Wednesday, the 27th, 20th. All right. So the next meeting will be on January 20th at 10 a.m. This meeting is adjourned.